Did I accidentally join a cult? I'm Joseph, this is Input English. So I asked myself that question, but I did so in a very lighthearted way, because literally I did not join a cult. So what am I talking about, and what is a cult? A cult is a group of people intensely devoted to a person, an object, an idea, or a belief system. When you say something is a cult, usually that means that the belief of this group is unusual. It's not mainstream. It's out of the ordinary. Frequently, a cult has a charismatic leader. Not always, but frequently a cult has a leader that exerts control over the cult members. Frequently one sees psychological manipulation of the cult members. Cult membership often includes social isolation from friends and family in favor of association with other cult members. The key features I've showcased here would be the intensity of the beliefs, the tendency for isolation, and often the presence of a charismatic leader who manipulates the members. So going back to my initial question, did I accidentally join a cult? The answer is a resounding no. Of course not. So why am I talking about this? For those of you following the Input English channel, you may know that I took a trip in the spring. I drove my little Subaru for a couple thousand miles to explore a number of interesting places in the desert southwest of the United States. When I went into Chaco Canyon, I needed to camp overnight. I did so in a small pup tent, a single-person tent with a sleeping bag. The temperature got down to between 30 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so it was freezing. I discerned that people of a certain age don't really enjoy getting down on the ground. I didn't like sleeping on the ground at all. And when I was driving into Chaco Canyon, I took a wrong turn, and that caused me to drive across a dry wash. A dry wash has no water in it, but it did have deep sand. And I came very close to getting stuck in the sand of this dry wash. Since I was not on a main road, it would have taken a long time for someone to come upon me, to find me. Since I had no cell service, it would have been impossible for me to make a call. I might have been forced to self-rescue by walking out of that remote area to get help. This pattern of facts got me to thinking about the dangers and the uncomfortable nature of what I was doing. Now, one of the solutions I could have embraced was to simply not go to such places. Don't explore in remote locations. Don't go where the roads are bad. But that was the opposite of what I wanted to do. I wanted to explore remote places. I learned that my little Subaru was not up to the task. Now that was quite the revelation for me. I figured that the Subaru would go anywhere. It had four-wheel drive. What could go wrong? Well, in that dry wash with the deep sand, what could have gone wrong is I could have stopped, and then when I tried to proceed and push on the accelerator, the four wheels would spin. That would dig 4 holes corresponding to each of the tires. The car would sink down to its belly, and then I would be stuck. I had no equipment for self-rescue. In other words, I was fairly naive about the abilities of my little car to go anywhere. In the background, I am loath to spend a lot of money. I like to save money. I don't like to squander money. I don't want to buy expensive, luxurious things that I don't need. It's wasteful. It's not what I want to do. I tend to save money and be frugal. So you can see as this story unfolds, I'm at cross purposes. I want to go places and my car won't take me. I don't want to spend a lot of money, so I needed to find a middle ground. When I got home, I did a lot of research, and the result was I bought a used Jeep. What's a Jeep? A Jeep is a vehicle currently manufactured by the Chrysler Corporation. Its history is interesting. It dates back to World War II. The U.S. Army, the armed forces, needed transportation vehicles that could go anywhere, so they specified four-wheel drive. They wanted it to be lightweight so they could transport it to the location where it was needed. And they wanted it to do a variety of things, so they were referred to as general purpose. The soldiers, seeing these general purpose GP vehicles, called them Jeeps. They were initially manufactured by Willys, but they were also manufactured by other makers under contract. The design came from Willys. Willys is spelled W-I-L-L-Y-S, and there is some controversy how you pronounce that. When I was growing up, they were called Willys. Some people call them Willis. So with World War II, the Jeep was born, and after World War II, there were a lot of them available. They were adapted to civilian use, and then they were manufactured for sale to the civilians after the war. So I bought a Jeep. I bought a used Jeep because I wanted to save money. Now, if you buy a very old car, you are buying problems. If you buy a brand new car, you're buying the luxury of having a brand new car. And I wanted the middle ground, so I chose a Jeep that was 3 years old. It had very little mileage on it, and it was in very good shape. It looked new. I chose the Gladiator style, and in a future video, you will see why I did that. Remember, I don't want to sleep on the ground. So as this story unfolds, you can see that I am a new Jeep owner. How many Jeeps have I had before this one? That would be a round number. 0. None. This is my first Jeep. It's not the first Jeep in the family. My great aunt had a Jeep years ago. My daughter had a Jeep. I think that's pretty much the extent of it. I've always wanted one, but I never could justify spending the money. That changed this year. So what is the nexus between a cult and having a Jeep? The nexus between those two is a very lighthearted one, because indeed there is no cult associated with Jeep ownership. But you could say that Jeeps enjoy a cult-like following. They are very popular. People who have them or want them like them intensely. There is no charismatic leader. There is no psychological manipulation, and there is no isolation. If anything, it is the opposite. It's camaraderie. Nonetheless, all of this was new to me, and some of it surprised me. The first thing that surprised me about having a Jeep is people wave to me. When I'm driving the Jeep and another vehicle is coming the other way, there's a good chance they're going to wave. They will wave like this, or like this, or like this, or like this. There is no correct way to get waved at. The people who wave at me when I'm driving the Jeep are driving a Jeep. It's the other Jeep owners who are waving. It is common for a Jeep owner to have their hand on the top of the steering wheel, which they might call 12 o'clock, and when they see another Jeep coming the other way, they wave by doing this, or this, or this, without taking their hand off the steering wheel. Sometimes they wave by sticking their arm out the window. If the window's open, they may wave out the side of the vehicle. Another thing that surprised me is that when you drive a nice Jeep, you might come back to your parking place and find one of these on your door handle or on the hood of your car. If you find one of these on your Jeep, you've been ducked. So what is that? Is that part of a cult? No, but it is a meme. It's something that developed during the pandemic in about 2020, and it started with a lady originally from Canada named Allison Parliament. Allison was very familiar with Jeeps. She liked Jeeps, and so she put a small rubber duck on a Jeep with a note, "Nice Jeep." Later, she created an online meme called Duck Duck Jeep. Unfortunately, Allison passed away in 2022, so we will see where this meme goes. I'm not trying to promote it, I just noticed it. This, being a rubber duck, was not historically seen on the surface of Jeeps. This was a bathtub toy seen in a bathtub with a small child enjoying a bath. But in 2025, if you're a Jeep owner, you might find one of these on your Jeep. So what do you do with this if somebody puts a duck on your Jeep? Conventionally, people put it on their dashboard. They just display it. They bring it inside the car and drive around with it on the dashboard. I suppose it could get out of hand. You could have dozens of these. That is definitely not my goal. Another thing I noticed about Jeep ownership that I am not going to get involved in is radical modification of the vehicle. People consider a Jeep an opportunity to express themselves. By spending money, they can buy accessories, do modifications, and change their Jeep into what they consider the ideal vehicle for them. I don't criticize that behavior, but I don't want to embrace it. I don't want to spend the money. I don't expect to get a lot of these because I'm not going to modify my Jeep to attract a lot of attention. I do enjoy the Jeep wave. I think it's charming that people wave in a spirit of goodwill to each other. So that is an aspect of this that I have already embraced. My primary interest is the freedom that this humble device will give me when I travel. When I'm on rough roads, rocky roads, or going through deep sand, perhaps even shallow water, I don't want to get stuck. Based on my research, it looks like I solved about 90% of my problems by moving up to this humble Jeep. With one key modification that is coming in September, it will eliminate the need for me to sleep on the ground in a tent. At this rate, I expect to be on the road in October, not traveling in high style, but traveling in a safer way and a more comfortable way. And no, it's not a cult. I invite comments below, and if you like videos like this, be sure to click on this one next. See you soon.